Hi, how's everyone doing today? Welcome to this more heavy video. My name is Dragon, or John, or however you want to call me. And I was told I should make this video to touch more of the audience and all. So thank you to Elitentity for the idea for this video. Last month, besides being Pride Month, was Men's Mental Health Month. And making a video like this during then probably would have gotten a little bit of backlash since everyone talks more about Pride Month. I'm a member myself. I am pansexual, so I understand people of the LGBTQ base tend to be made fun of. You know, support is growing, but we don't talk a lot about men's mental health. Those of you who are members of my community, members of my channel, and also Elite's channel will know I talk openly about my mental conditions, schizophrenia. I want to talk about that for a bit. So, Elitentity is listening, so she might pop in with some questions after I get done talking, which if you do, thank you. If not, that's cool. So, let's get started. A little backstory. I was born September 23rd, 1996. I had a normal childhood until moving into this house one day after I got done taking a shower. I started hearing whispering and didn't turn into screaming. I was literally sitting in my bathroom, sitting on the floor, waiting for it to stop. I had no idea what it was. I told a friend about hearing it, and they said I should get help. But at the time, I was kind of a hypochondriac, so I thought, you know what, no one would believe me. And then in high school, or secondary, as a lot of the world calls it, I was talking to a group of friends, and I saw a kid running and another one being chased with a knife. No one reacted. So I thought it was my imagination going crazy. I didn't realize it was my first visual hallucination. This is getting a little bit personal, and I'm trying to... Okay. So, those two were big signs that I should have gotten help. Schizophrenia is no joke. When I grew up, I wanted to join the U.S. military. But because of my disorder, I can't. I can't join. And it's hard for me to work a normal job and such. That's why I'm trying to make YouTube work out so well, so that way I have that going for me. And if you have, before I get back more into the history, if you are experiencing any sort of mental health crisis, go get help. There's great things out there for that. I'm going to put links and numbers in the description down below. But back to the story. That same day after I saw that, I went on with my day, didn't see anything until science class. I heard a voice being, hey, the fact you can hear me is a problem. You should go get help. I looked around. My science teacher, bless her heart, was like, John, you okay? And I was like, yeah, it's nothing. Thought I saw something. And the voice would later be called Alex. I named my voices. It's not recommended to do that, but it's helped me out, so that's why I named them. So, Alex was not a normal schizophrenic voice, being mean, being a dick. He was more of like, hey, you should get help. Or if I started doing something stupid, he went, hey, should you really be doing this? That was another thing. Some side effects of schizophrenia, for me at least, that normally don't get talked about. I was afraid to bathe. I was a very smelly kid, a very smelly teen. I was afraid to bathe. I'm a lot better at it now, but it's something that they don't talk about. My paranoia was really high. this is hard to say. Oh, it was hard because I wasn't diagnosed until a year into my first marriage. And I was hearing what was at the time 6 voices. I had 7 at the time, 6 voices belittling, yelling at me, telling me I should end my life. My voices were telling me I should commit suicide. And I was like, shut up, shut up, shut up. I almost shouted it. And then my wife at the time walked in holding my son, Baby Dragon, and she said, John, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And she's like, no, you're not. What's going on? And then I finally broke down and I said, I've been hearing voices. Well, it's supposed to be a fun day going out, turned to, and bless her heart, I will always thank her for this, turned to us going to mental health service place. The one we have in town is called the Guidance Center, and we went there, and I got diagnosed with schizophrenia. And I was scared. I didn't know what it was. I only knew what was displayed on TV, and what was displayed on TV and movies and such is the bad side. That's another thing. Most people think people with schizophrenia are dangerous, when in reality we are more times than not the victims. We are victims of abuse, of mistreatment, and such. I mean, look at the mental health service throughout the years, and you'll see people with my condition and other conditions like bipolar, DID, OCD, and such. We get mistreated. Mental health is great now, but it wasn't always the case. But after I got diagnosed, I got on medicine, and the medicine I was on was not great for me. I don't remember what it's called. Risperidone, that's what it was called. One of the medicines I was on. I don't think it was that medicine. I could be wrong. But it was not good for me. It made my symptoms worse. Well, one day I had a mental breakdown, and I moved out of the house I was staying at with my first wife. And bless her heart, she did not deserve a lot of the stuff she went through with me. I wasn't abusive or anything like that, but my disorder was bad, and it was scary. There was nights where all I heard was screaming and shouting. The hallucinations were bad, and I laid in bed curled in a ball while our son cried. She was taking care of a baby and me at the same time. Then one day, I was in a delusion, and I told her I wasn't in love with her anymore, and I moved out. And when I snapped out of the delusion, I was like, what did I do? I tried fixing things, but we couldn't fix it. And bless her heart, she said she wouldn't let me move back in until I was 6 months symptom free. But at the time, I was lucky if I was 2 days symptom free. And then we decided collectively that it was better just to get a divorce. We are a lot better now. We are good friends. For her anonymity and such, I'm keeping her name separate. If she's watching the video, you didn't deserve the craziness you went through. But fast forward a little bit, I tried different medicines, injections, and it turned out I'm slightly treatment resistant. So which means a lot of the medicines will work for a little bit, but my body will get used to them. But I found a good combination now. And my girlfriend, who I have, is awesome. She is my rock. She watches my videos too. You are awesome. And I still have bad days and all, but I'm a whole lot different than I was a year ago, 2 years ago, if she was able to tell you some of the stuff, my girlfriend, some of the ways I probably would get canceled. But the medicine I am on now, I am not a trained medical provider. This is what works for me. Caplyta and Haldol are the combination that works great for me. Take it every night, and I haven't had symptoms in so long. Both people in this story can tell you it is day or night. And some of the friends I had, like Potato in high school, she talks about how it's night and day. She talks about it in streams before. She'd probably leave a comment explaining how it is night and day. But that's because I have an awesome support system. Every time I went to therapy, they would ask me, how's my support system? And I would say it's great. My mom, my dad, my brothers are amazing. My girlfriend is amazing. Even my ex-wife, she lends an ear for me to talk to at times. We try to keep our conversations mostly about Baby Dragon, but there are times where we will rant to each other, and we have that friendship. Even Potato is someone I could talk to time from time. But the thing to look out for with schizophrenia, there is no known. There are causes, but there is no 100% cause. There is no cure. Like mine, I was born with brain damage. The back of my head was as flat as a table. Like, you see how flat my phone case is? It was like that. And so the back of my brain had brain damage. In fact, my mom likes to talk about this. It's a miracle I could walk and talk. Doctors literally said I would basically be a living paperweight. I'm starting to get a little bit emotional. 1 second. Ooh. Doctors said I would be like a living paperweight. And they even told my parents there are chances I would have mental disorders like bipolar, schizophrenia, and stuff like that. So they weren't really surprised when I got diagnosed with schizophrenia. And it was a hard adjustment. I now have 9 voices. I have Alex and Dark. Alex is basically the voice of reason. He is, I'm saying he, even though it's a voice, he makes sure I stay safe, make sure I don't do anything reckless. When I hear him, he's usually the first voice I hear when I start having symptoms. He would go like, hey, you're having symptoms. You're starting to have symptoms. The fact I'm here is an issue. None of my voices want to be there. It's weird to describe. A normal schizophrenic, even though schizophrenia is not normal, but a normal schizophrenic, their voices want to be there. They want to be controlling. They want to be demanding. Mine aren't really like that. Dark, the other voice, he is like the opposite of Alex. He is like, hey, let's go cause some mayhem. Let's not hurt people, but let's cause mayhem. He is that meme of, when that woman asks the kid, what does A stand for? Dark is that kid being like arson. Then I have 7 voices that I have. My schizophrenia is religion based. I grew up religious. They're named after the 7 deadly sins: lust, gluttony, pride, wrath, stuff like that. They're named after 7 deadly sins. But where most people, when they think of schizophrenia, think it just happens so quickly, it wasn't like that. All my voices came in a span of 7 years. And such. So it was a gradual growth. And another thing, this is what surprised people, that if they know me, I was never hospitalized. I was never in inpatient treatment. which there was times I was close. There was times I was close to inpatient treatment, but I never was. And I'm thankful for that because that scares me. But let's talk about present day. Sorry. Present day. I am fine. I am fine. I am getting the help I need. I see a therapist once a month. I got big plans, and I don't do anything my therapist doesn't recommend. Like, my therapist thinks this YouTube gig is really helpful. My therapist says I'm on the right track. And I am getting the help I need. Like I said, I have a strong support system. Got my meds. They work great. But now, I'm trying to think what else is there. You got any questions, Elite? If you want to check Elite out, her channel will be linked down below, or you go on to my YouTube page and go to Homies to check out. I think it's the first one. You should be the first one on that list, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you got any questions as I try to think of what else to talk about?
No, in all seriousness, can you please cut that out?
I'll cut out your excitement sound.
Okay.
Uh,
Alright, so I am a person. If you guys know, I've studied occupational therapy. I have not graduated, but I've done a little bit. By all means, I am not a professional whatsoever. But I do have a little bit of knowledge, just a little bit of knowledge.
How about this?
So,
you met me when my disorder was pretty bad compared to now. Can you tell them how much of a difference night and day it is?
I would say the difference is substantial. And I think the reason why the difference was really substantial is because what we implemented, and bear in mind, me and Dragon communicate quite openly about his disorder and the things that he struggles with. So what we started to implement, and I think it's helped him a lot, is routine. I feel like a lot of disorders kind of go rogue and kind of spiral because there's no routine. So I think once there is a routine that an individual likes and individual enjoys, that's when you start to feel more grounded. Is that right? Have I got that right?
Thank you. I was thinking, I knew I was missing something. Routine is very important. Speaking from experience, when my disorder started, I had no routine. Literally, I didn't have a job. I couldn't hold down a job. And I had issues. But now that I have that routine, like, Ali and I talk pretty much every day. We record often. We relax. We chill. And it's part of that routine. And she knows pretty well when I'm having issues. I think she could tell I'm trying to hold back emotions because, like, oh.
It is a pretty heavy topic.
But routine is very important for sure for people with mental health issues because my disorder is triggered by stress. And you seen when my disorder was pretty bad when there was heavy stressful situations. Can you talk about your experience with that, seeing how it was?
Microphone, please pick up. Okay. Personally, I think the development of your symptoms is both a combination of stress and a combination of those around you and how you dealt with it. Because in the past, when you did experience stress, let's just say you didn't cope with it in the most healthiest of ways.
No, I did not. I remember one time I buried myself in recording a video that I ended up deleting.
Yes. But now when there is stress, you've got so many other people that you can communicate to, so many different things to do, and by all means, above all, there are several distractions that you can do. You can record, you can again communicate with people, you can go out. There's just so much more variety. And I feel like your horizons have kind of been more opened up because you've been more open to doing all of these different things rather than doing your previous behaviors that you thought that were helping, but actually they were negatively impacting on you. So I'm actually very happy for that. Another thing I wanted to bring up on the topic of mental disorders in general is that medication. I just wanted to say as well, when Dragon was speaking about medication, some medications work for some people, some don't for others. And when you go to a doctor, please do your research. Do your research when you want to think about having medications, because some medications are very interactive with different things. I'm pretty sure with Dragon's meds, correct me if I'm wrong, you can't have
That is
grapefruit.
correct.
Yeah, because grapefruit, I think, is one heavy interactions. There's some medications you can't take with other medications. There's some conditions such as, I think, don't quote me on it, but things impacting your liver, your kidneys, things like that. You may have to speak to your doctor about that. Oh, and also pregnancy. Pregnancy is definitely
Thank God I
another
don't have to
one
worry about
that you
that.
need to consider.
No,
So honestly, just do your research. Some medications do work for other people, some don't for others. Some have horrible implications for other people, where some it's like their Winter Wonderland dream. It
yeah,
works like a
like
charm.
mine doesn't act up too much, but I do experience tremors, which is caused by my medications. I forgot what it's called. You might be able to remember what the name is, like the medically induced tremors, like medicine. Um, I I haven't experienced it too much, but if you may have catched it in some videos where my in first person games the character moves slightly, it's caused by that. It's not bad enough where I need medication for it, but it's something that my medical team is looking at, seeing if it gets worse. It's caused by medicine. God, what is it called? One second, looking it up. Doing it live. Oh, tardive dyskinesia, TD. Now, I I've talked to people who have that and they have it really bad. They need medicine for it. Luckily, mine isn't that bad. So that is a risk if you're looking into mental health medicines. But only certain medicines really cause that. A lot of the times, doctors have a good understanding. It's like the one I'm on has a risk of causing it. I think this one's empty. Oh, it is empty. Cool. Also, I get squirrel brain. Just like right there, I think this is empty. But how?
I do have another question to ask.
What is your question?
Actually. And one of them is, can you tell what is the importance of taking your medicine around the same time
Routine.
every day?
It's part of the routine. The latest I usually take my medicine is about 10 o'clock, but 10 o'clock Central Standard Time, but I have two alarms on my phone that goes off. One at 8:50, letting me know it's getting close to my medicine, and one at 9 telling me I need to take my medicine. A really good friend that helps me make sure I take my medicine on time, besides you, Elite, is Potato. Potato calls me at 10 o'clock her time, which is 9 o'clock my time. We're like, hey, did you take your medicine? And I get very forgetful. That is an issue of mine. Elite can tell you how forgetful I get sometimes. And I make sure that I take my medicine all the time, every time. In fact, I have a weekly pill case that I refill every Saturday. So, and also, there are two types of people that mental health and just medical will know about people. There are med compliance, people who take their meds every day, that needs to take them and such, or take them regularly, and then there's non-med compliant. It is common for people with mental disorders to at least once go non-med compliant. And what that is they feel so good. Most of the time, this was one of the cases I was. It felt so good. I don't need the medicine. I don't need it. I am fine. And then the medicine stayed in my system. The medicine I was on at the time stayed in my system for about 2 weeks. So I was like, I'm good. I feel great. And then the third week, I remember this because I was woken up by my voices. And I hallucinate my voices. So I have visual and auditory hallucination of my voices. I saw Alex sitting at my bed being like, So motherfucker, you haven't been taking your meds. And I was like, shit.
Oh no.
So I went back to therapy, got on proper medications, and it was a long journey. But it's important. If you're supposed to take meds, take your meds. Okay, what else you got for me, Elite?
Another question, well, less of a question, more of I need you to explain how important is it to have a support system?
Very important. I known friends who didn't have support systems, and some of them aren't here right now. They're dealing with their own mental health battles, and the battle won, and they didn't. So it's important, if you have friends who seem a little bit down or that you're worried about, please go talk to them. I am a big believer, and I know Elite is too, rather hear your story than go to your funeral. Having a support system is very important. I would be completely different right now if I didn't have the support system that I do have. So just be prepared for that. So, and there are great services like NAMI, N-A-M-I, NAMI. I forgot what it stands for. It's a mental health group. They're great. 988, the American suicide hotline. If you're feeling down, feeling suicidal, call them. They're great. I haven't had to use them personally, but I've talked to friends who having that person to talk to was great. If you're worried about your safety or someone else's safety, you may hit yourself, or they may hit you for a bit. If they're saying they're going to do something, call law enforcement. Do a wellness check. It's very important that they get the help they need. As my therapist put it, don't let cloudy days ruin the sunshine. A therapist of mine put it that way, and it really hit me. I mean, have something to live for. Like, I got my son's initials on my arm. I have it on my arm right there, so I look at it and I remember why I'm living. Any other questions?
That was a very good answer. I guess another question I have is, do you recommend therapy for everyone?
Yes. Everyone should at least try therapy. And I don't mean like BetterHelp or something like that. I mean actual therapy. I have a therapist. I have a med doctor for my mental health team. I have a general practitioner, a GP. and that I go and see regularly. I actually been missing appointments with her. I need to actually set up an appointment and keep it. But therapy has been very helpful. Having those friends to talk to. I'm usually the friend that people talk to, so having friends that I could talk to is very different. But
yes.
But it's just check on your people and go to therapy. If you need therapy, go to therapy. A lot of therapy places usually take general insurance, take private insurance. If you don't have insurance, they usually cut a good price. When I didn't have insurance and I went to therapy, it was $20 per session, and I went every other week. So it was $20 right out of my bank account that I already had planned to spend. Places like the Guidance Center is really good. That's where I go. And they're a really good team. My therapist checked out my videos before, so if you're watching my therapy dude, my friend, I don't want to say your name. If you're watching this video, you have been a big help. I'm probably going to hear about this next therapy probably. But therapy is important. Any other questions?
I also need to add on to that is when you're going to see a therapist, find one that fits you. You don't have to go to the very first person you're
That is true. Find one
with.
that fits you. I've had many different therapists. The one I have now is great. He is blunt with me, and I love it. No joke. One conversation we had. This was a different therapist. I had two blunt therapists. My first blunt therapist. A little story. I was being like, man, I'm happy people come talk to me, tell me about their issues, and then he goes like, do you have people to talk to you about your issues? And I was like, why do you have to cut me so deep, man? The therapist I had
That's pretty blunt. Sometimes that's a good thing though. Sometimes that is really a good thing.
My therapist is blunt. He's nice about it, but he's blunt.
Honestly. Just no sugarcoat. Just tell me how it is. Give it to me straight.
Literally another time I was like, I'm happy that my friends are doing great and such, and it's like, are you happy that you're doing great? I was like, shut up, man.
Yes. I say you definitely need balance. You definitely want a therapist to tell you what's up. Also, do not find one that just totally validates you. Because think of therapy kind of like a teacher in the sense is that they're giving you the skills to cope. You do not know everything. You really don't.
And don't rely on that friend, that therapy friend. Don't rely on them. They're not trained. I know from experience, I'm the therapy friend. I am not trained. I tell them all the time, I'm not trained. You need to see a real therapist. It's like, oh, you're fine. Plus, you're free. It's like, I'll start charging. And then they go find a therapist. What other questions you got? Oh, why you think of your question? One thing, if you are worried you have the same disorder I have, schizophrenia usually starts late teens, early adults for male, to late 20s, early 30s for females, I believe. I have to double check that. Editor me, put the information right here.
I can edit to Dragon.
Okay, so what other questions do you have for me, Elite?
Can you tell us other symptoms that I remembered you telling me some other ones apart from auditory and visual. You also described tactile.
Tactile symptoms are where like the classic feeling bugs crawling under your skin. Really trippy when you have visual and tactile at the same time. Seeing bumps move on your arm, that is really trippy. Just know Those people who are self-aware, like I tend to be self-aware, seeing stuff like that really starts to make things cloudy. Paranoia, for example, delusions of grandeur, where you feel like you could jump off a building and survive. That's very common with schizophrenia. Speaking of paranoid, when I was married, I actually had visual hallucinations of men in black suits and such, the government coming after me. Yeah, you think it's all a joke until you actually go through it. The whole time I wasn't so delusional that I didn't know the difference between reality and fiction, luckily. But there are people who are not that lucky. I'm looking over here where my camera is, making sure I'm staying in frame. In fact, let me just quickly move this over here. There we go. What else? What else? I have environmental hallucinations. When I worked at a moving company, everything looked like either Nightmare on Elm Street or Steamboat Willie. I love the Steamboat Willie one. I did not like the Nightmare on Elm Street. It was very trippy. Also, I'm not making light of anything. I don't want you to think I'm making light of anything. I grew up with an active imagination, and I've been told by multiple therapists that's probably why I know the difference between what's real and what's not. But even I have moments where I'm questioning a good tool to have. I learned this from the TikToker Cody Green, schizophrenic hippie. Use your phone, because for some reason, a lot of people who I've seen talked about this that learned it from him. Turn on your phone and use the camera. That I've used many times to see, hey, this isn't real. I've actually had conversations with hallucinations, and then I went to shake their hand, and my hand went through there, so I went, "You're not real." Trust me, it is not fun being the guy on the other side, being like having a full enlightening conversation with someone who doesn't exist. It is not fun. You get strange looks, and that's another thing. Being susceptible to stereotypes. Movies that show schizophrenics or TV shows that show schizophrenics. Like, there is one, Criminal Minds. The mother of that really smart guy whose name I forget is portrayed as schizophrenic, and it shows her being terrified, being paranoid, and such. A lot of that can be shown as true, but it's a light case of showing how a schizophrenic is. But there are media out there that portray us as the bad guys, and people believe the stereotypes. So do your research. If you have a friend or family who is schizophrenic, don't believe or other mental disorders, don't believe the stereotypes. Look it up and see. Like I said in the beginning of this, a lot of times we are the victims of abuse, of neglect, and such. But we just want to be understood. We don't want to hurt. Did I explain it pretty well?
Yes.
What else you got for me?
And looking from the other side, you say that if you see someone having these symptoms, to encourage them to ask for help. In the meantime, while they're experiencing the symptoms, how is it best for us to help?
If you see someone, first of all, while they could be symptomatic, if they hallucinate you as a threat, they can be a threat. It's best to speak to them in an understanding voice. Like, for example, being like, "Hey, it's okay. We're not here to hurt you." Ask them, "How do I look to you?" Like, if they look scared, but like, "How do I look to you?" And if you are scared to do that, get law enforcement. And I know that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but get people who are trained to help. like for example, when I went to the local guidance center, I saw a kid scared. And he was telling his mom, there's monsters around. I actually pulled out the phone I had at the time, turned on the camera, and I said, hey, look through the camera. Do you see the monsters? And they went, no. And that made that click for them. Be like, hey, this isn't real. Or this girl I knew, she was young. She has schizophrenia. She would see holes in the ground and she would be scared to walk. I would walk with her, show her, like, step on the holes, and she would see that there aren't real holes. Sometimes what I've noticed works for me is facing those fears. But some people can't face them. Got any other questions?
From the top of my head.
Okay. I stream pretty regularly. I'm going back to uploading. So the best way to explain, if you watch this video and want to ask me questions, feel free. Don't be a dick about it. If you are a dick about it, I have a great moderation team and myself that will ban you real quick.
True.
Elite is
we do a great job at sniffing
Elite
you
is
out.
the head moderator of my moderation team. You Owe Me a Muffin is second in command. They are great moderators. But this has been 41 minutes, so I only have to edit out one part. So if you guys have enjoyed, please consider leaving a like. It does help out a lot. Also, subscribe for some more. Check out Elitentity in the link down below, or on the Homies to Check Out tab of my YouTube channel. Yeah. And if you have any other questions, any other concerns, feel free to leave them in the comments, and then maybe I'll make a part 2 video. So, see y'all then. Later.